Welcome back. Now that you've successfully logged into one of the Korn systems using the SSH client software on either your Windows or Mac system, now we're going to talk about how to actually use this system to do a few useful things. So you'll notice that the last thing that should be displayed on your screen is what's referred to as a command prompt. And on the Korn systems, that's configured as the name of the machine here. And you'll notice that right now I'm logged into the Korn 28 machine. You're probably logged into a different machine. It may say Korn 13, Korn 6, etc. What's happening is when you log into Korn, that actually goes through a load balancer and it picks which of the dozens of Korn machines are least occupied in terms of other users, and it automatically sends you to one of the least used machines. So you can always look at your command prompt and know which specific machine like Korn 28 you're logged into. And the very last part of the command prompt in this case is the greater than symbol, and that's an indication from the Linux shell that it is waiting for you to provide input. So what exactly is the Linux shell? Well, the Linux shell is a special program that waits for commands from you. As soon as you enter them, it executes the commands and then returns the output back to your screen. And there's different shells available. The most common shell is something called bash. It's usually the default on most Linux systems. It's also the default on Mac OS X. On the Korn systems, they use a slightly different shell. It's called TCSH. If you ever wanted to confirm on a system which shell you're using, you would type the command echo $shell, and it would display, as in this case, a TCSH shell. Now, the most common scenario when you're using the Linux systems in this course is that you're going to log in and create your programs by writing some code in files and then run it. So the first thing we need to be able to do is figure out how to navigate around, look at our files, etc. So the simplest thing we can do is type the ls command. So that's a lowercase l, not a number 1. And that's going to list the directories and files in your account. So these are the directories and files in my account on the Korn systems. Yours may look different depending on what you've done in terms of other usage of this system. Now, ls provides a summary, but if I use the ls and give it the -l option, that tells it to provide an additional set of information about the files and directories. And what you'll notice is there's a line-by-line summary of the directories and files. And if you wanted to know more details, for example, I could look at the first column, and all of these are shown with the lowercase letter d, indicating that desktop is a directory, mail is a directory, etc., etc. If the D was absent, that would indicate that the entity you were looking at was a file as opposed to a directory or a folder. We've now seen our first Linux command, the ls command, for how to list the files and directories or folders in your account. Now, a few minutes or hours from now, you're probably going to forget about the -l option, and you might want to learn more features about additional things you can do with the ls command. So you can always Google it, or you can get online help, and the standard way to access and get additional information is most commands will accept the -help option, and if you hit enter, you should get a screen like this, which will provide the usage information. It'll tell that the purpose of the ls command is to list information about the files, and it'll tell you all the different options. So for example, if we scroll down here, -L uses a long listing format, which provides additional information about the files and directories. So that's one option that you have. The other option you have on Linux or Unix systems is something called man pages or manual pages. So if you type the man ls, that tells the shell that you want to display the man page for the ls command. So hit enter, and you'll see roughly the same information, except for in a little bit different format. And this has a little bit of learning curve in terms of how to navigate around the man page. But if you use the J key, that will scroll down. If you use the K key, that will scroll up. So that might be a little more convenient. You can move up and down and look at the various options. The other thing is that you can search, and you search by pressing the / key. So you'll see at the bottom left, I've pressed /, and if I wanted more information about -L, I would hit enter, and now it'll search through and find the various occurrences of where -L occurs. It'll start at the first one. If each time I press the N key, it will move to the next occurrence of that. So if I knew some keyword or option that I was particularly interested in, I could fairly quickly find that to get additional information about how to use a particular command. And then once I had the information I was interested in, I pressed the Q key to quit, and now it'll bring me back to the Linux shell and the command prompt where I could enter that command that I've just learned about.